All right, so the sequel to that cult classic, High on Life, it's finally here. And let me tell you, it's bigger, it's wilder, and somehow they've packed in even more of that bizarre humor. So today, we're going to break down absolutely everything you need to know about High on Life 2. We're talking its crazy new mechanics, the story, what the early reviews are saying, and yeah, why this shooter might just be one of the most unique games we'll see all year.
Okay, so here's the plan. We'll start with what High on Life 2 even is, then jump into the new skateboarding mechanics, cover the gameplay and story, platforms and release info, what people are saying about it so far, and wrap up with why this game actually matters. Let's do it.
So first things first, what in the world is High on Life 2? Well, it's the new first-person shooter from Squanch Games, the folks who made the first one. They drop you right back into this totally chaotic sci-fi universe where you're chasing down some big intergalactic conspiracy that's threatening all of humanity. But here's the thing, you are definitely not alone on this mission.
And that's because you've got the Gatlians. Now, this is the absolute core idea of the whole series, right? Your guns are alive. They're these sentient alien characters that talk to you, they crack jokes, sometimes really bad ones, and they fight right there with you. Each one has its own unique personality, and it's just a wild concept that completely defines the whole vibe of the game.
A lot of sequels just play it safe, right? Just more of the same. But not this one. High on Life 2 absolutely goes for it. The devs have just embraced these huge, sprawling levels, way wilder enemies, and a much more experimental feel for both the action and the comedy. Trust me, this is not just a reskin of the first game. It feels like a genuinely ambitious leap forward.
And speaking of ambition, you can see it crystal clear in what might be the game's biggest new feature. I'm talking about a brand new skateboarding mechanic that is built right into the core of the game. And this is not just some gimmick for getting from point A to B, okay? You're using it to traverse these huge worlds way faster, sure. You're grinding on rails, you're hopping off ramps. But the really cool part? It's designed to be integrated right into combat. It creates this awesome fluid loop of moving and shooting that just feels incredible.
So yeah, the key takeaway here is that this is so much more than a gimmick. It completely changes the pace of the game. It gives combat this super fast-paced rhythm, blending how you move and how you shoot in a way that feels, well, genuinely fresh. It's like they looked at these bigger worlds and said, okay, how do we make getting around feel awesome instead of like a chore? And this seems to be their answer.
Okay, so with that awesome new movement in mind, let's talk about the core experience. What are you actually doing when you're playing this game?
You're once again playing as a voiceless bounty hunter, which is a smart move because it really lets the personalities of your talking guns take center stage. The sequel expands on everything, with new hub worlds to check out, and they're packed with side activities, totally bizarre quests, and just strange encounters. And of course, you can expect that signature satirical humor. They're taking jabs at everything, corporate culture, big pharma, and it's all wrapped up in this package of chaotic first-person shooting and platforming.
All right, so maybe you're thinking, this sounds wild, I'm in. Let's talk about where and when you can actually play it. And the release strategy for this one is actually a pretty big deal, a real shift from the first game. They're clearly aiming for a much bigger audience right out of the gate.
So, the game launched everywhere at once, PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S on February 13th, 2026. And here's the kicker. It was a day one launch on Xbox Game Pass. That's huge. Plus, for Nintendo fans, a Switch 2 version is coming in April 2026, so it's going to be on pretty much everything.
Okay, so when a game this unique comes out, how do people react? Well, as you can probably guess, opinions are kinda all over the map, and that's exactly what we're seeing in the first wave of reviews. The early reviews are, well, they're mixed, but I'd say they're leaning positive. Critics are definitely praising the quirky humor, the massive scope of the new worlds, and for sure those new movement mechanics. But, and there is a but, on the flip side, a lot of them have pointed out bugs, some performance issues, and just a few technical rough edges that can kinda pull you out of the experience.
But even with those technical hiccups, some critics absolutely adored it. We're seeing scores as high as a 9 out of 10. And for those reviewers, it seems like the pure, unadulterated fun factor, the sharp comedic writing, and just the sheer chaos of it all. It just completely overshadowed any of the game's flaws.
And that split you see with the critics, it's happening with the players too. It's mirrored almost perfectly. You've got tons of players who are all in. They love the ridiculous tone, they love the new mechanics. But then you have others who are saying, the combat feels a little inconsistent, or that the humor just doesn't quite land for them. It really seems to be one of those love it or hate it kind of games. Okay, so let's zoom out for a second. We've talked about the details, now let's look at the big picture. In an industry that is so packed with games, why does something like High on Life 2 even matter?
I mean, it's really easy to look at the talking guns and all the bright, crazy colors and just write it off as another silly shooter, right? But think about it. In a world full of super serious, gritty shooters and these big, heavy cinematic games, what really makes this game stand out from the crowd?
Here's why it matters. High on Life 2 is not afraid to be different at all. It's actively pushing the boundaries of what a first-person shooter can even be by mashing together comedy, this new skate-based movement, and classic combat into something that feels new. And look, whether you love the humor or you hate it, you cannot deny its personality. You can't deny its ambition. It's a fantastic reminder that games can still be totally wild, completely unhinged, and you know what? Just fun.
So there you have it. You've got chaotic combat, a reception that's all over the place, and some really ambitious new ideas. The big question left is for you. Are you going to jump in right now on Game Pass? Or are you maybe going to wait it out for that Switch 2 version?